So welcome to this the second and the last session of the day. So be happy. We're talking about the pioneering the future of messaging, but mainly we dive a little bit into the technical part of it. What's needed? What do we see? Where are the champions? And who are they, for instance? So without further ado, I would like to give my experts sitting on my left. A quick minute to introduce themselves, say something about the company. And Carla, if I may start with you, please.
Okay. Ladies first.
Sure.
As usual.
I'm educated, otherwise my mom would,
Of course.
she still kicks my...
My name is Carla Oliveira. I'm responsible head of sales at Go for Mobility. So we manage messaging, voice, DIDs, and two-way messaging. And I'm so happy to be another time with you here exploring this messaging.
The honor is completely ours. So thank you for that and welcome.
Good morning. Probably good afternoon by now. Richard Choi from Hard Systems. I'm the Chief Sales Officer, and Hard Systems provide messaging monetization, messaging security, and authentication solutions to the mobile industry.
Okay, thank you. Welcome. Arun, please.
I think you know who I am. Aaron Dahiri. I run a boutique consultancy business. We help companies in the telecoms, media, and tech sector grow through digital strategies.
Thank you, and congratulations on the previous panel. That's it.
Scott Warner from Mobile Squared. We are the market leaders when it comes to insight and intelligence for the mobile messaging industry. We work with businesses across the entire ecosystem, and our objective is really to build a sustainable and successful future for messaging.
Thank you, and welcome to you too. Vova?
Yeah, I'm gonna use this one. Hi guys. So I'm Vladimir Gernishi. I'm a managing product for GMS, and GMS is providing a suite of services for the enterprises, mainly revolving around CPaaS, messaging, customer experience, customer engagement, a couple of AI solutions as well. And on the other hand side, we're supporting operators with messaging and network protection and monetization as well.
Thank you so much, and welcome to you two and to all of you. Okay, let's immediately dive into it, right? What do you say? Shall we? All right. So, pioneering the future of messaging and the technological frontiers. I mean, latest advancement, driving forces, profit dynamics, industry growth, the whatever words, we all know them, right? But well, I may start with you to kick it off, and everybody jump in, audience included. The messaging landscape and pioneering the future of messaging. What can you share? What do we have? Maybe you can tip a little bit on the AI data solutions, whatever is out there.
Sure. Thanks a lot, Eric. So I'm going to be talking from the perspective of what we as a company do and what we have been pursuing for the past 4+ years, probably by now. As most of us, we have ventured initially into connecting businesses with the end users of simple channels for simple use cases, voice, SMS, whatever you name it. But eventually, and in the previous panel, I think, Scott, you mentioned that the use cases have been maturing, and they constantly do. Technology matures. We have 4, 5, 6G by now, and there is OpenAI and the rest. And what we see eventually, and how we are actually helping our customers build better connections with whoever, is through finding ways to understand the end user's behavior better, and then apply relevant channels for these users. And we have discovered that, again, I'd like to stay closer to the subject of the panel we got today, because I love the previous one, the platform toolkits as well. But we see significant growth across all things conversational interactions. And I'm leading specifically into text-based assistance. And what's even more exciting is voice-based assistance. It's not always easy to replicate in, let's say, underprivileged languages, right? But when you're referring to English, Mandarin, and mainstream largest population languages, it's always easier to produce AI-enhanced experiences for the users in these territories. At the same time, when you look at Africa, Middle East, some smaller countries, smaller markets, smaller languages and dialects, it's much easier to bring innovation to these territories. And to me, one of the biggest challenges that I would like us all to tackle at some point is to figure out ways how to move beyond 3, 4, 5 biggest large language models and introduce these enhanced capabilities to smaller nations, smaller countries, smaller even sub-segments of the population we're dealing with, because they eventually become completely kind of on the outskirts of the future. What do you think, guys?
So the question is, where do we find the holy grail? Right? That's it. But on the landscape, in the messaging landscape, just as a kickoff, and I think you clearly made your point, Boba. Scott, what do you see around you? What is there? What can you share with us?
Yeah, I think there's a real shift. So what we're seeing is when we talk about channels, for example, in messaging, on the SMS side, our data and our insight shows that there's some stagnation and potentially a little bit of a drop in volume when you're looking over the next kind of 5 to 10 years. There is, I think SMS is not going anywhere, but we see a slight drop in volume. But when you look at overall messaging, so including all channels, there's a huge upshift in the volumes as these new use cases come out. And when you have to also consider things like conversational and the stuff that GMS are doing, for example, on the AI side and that kind of conversational use cases, obviously the message volume is significantly higher than a single transactional message. So when you look at the volumes over the rich channels outside of SMS, so when you look at RCS, WhatsApp, Viber, WeChat, Line, all of the different rich OTT channels, we see a massive increase in messaging volume across the market. And sometimes it's a little bit kind of doom and gloom when we talk about SMS, but actually what we have to look at is messaging as a whole. And that's really exciting. And now we're kind of I mentioned it previously, we're kind of evolving now, and there's a moment of evolution here where businesses are doing some pretty cool and pretty clever things to help enterprises to leverage these channels.
Okay. Carla, you want to join in? What do you see? What trends do you see? What's out there?
Yeah, I believe we are on the digitalization era. So now we are not talking about a single SMS. We are talking about turning the messaging more intelligent. Give our users, our company, more data to predict the new interactions with the customers, and that's why that is increasing the new partnerships with some of these players that are here with me in the market to analyze the data, to have the proper security, to guarantee the security of our customers, of our companies. So AI is here, it's becoming the messaging more intelligent, but how and what we will manage the AI? How can we secure the data of our companies? And how are we feeding this AI? Okay, so it's turning a little bit challenging, but for me it's good because I'm a positive person. So now what I believe we can do is have more knowledge, be on the different markets, explore new revenue streams, and be more creative. So SMS continues to be a good and reliable platform and a way of communication. We cannot forget that the open rate of an SMS often exceeds the 90%. So it continues to be a favored channel for communication, but there's a lot of other ways of communicate. There's the point is how you will interact, turn the communication more immersive, more attractive, and secure the data. Which I believe is the real concern now.
Okay, thank you. Aaron, you want to?
Okay, so I'll try to sort of fill in some gaps from what we didn't talk about in the previous panel and so far. So just speaking to innovations, right? So thinking ahead, I think 3 or 4 things. So first of all, sort of low latency with things like 5G and edge computing. So looking at vertical specific then. So financial services, for example, need that. And then we look at omni-channel. So in terms of, using SMS, RCS, with social media, WhatsApp, etc. So a centralized sort of place for this. And I'll come back to that point. You mentioned AI analytics, we can't get away from that being the key sort of monetization opportunity, particularly with conversational AI. And if we mix that in with what I mentioned on my previous panel, which was the sentiment analysis, if we consider an experience of going onto a chatbot, which is a real pain in the backside, right? Typically, the clever company sort of so I manage sort of 5 cars in our house in terms of insurances, right, for my family, my parents and whatnot. And so I'm chatting to them, and when they think, okay, this guy is going to he's talking about other insurance companies. He's thinking about price reductions. He's thinking straight away, this guy's going to churn off. Let's get a human on the phone and to this guy. And I spent an hour and a half on Sunday, and they managed to save me and brought my insurance down by £1,000 across all of them. That's clever, right? Because they're using chat and messaging to save their operating costs, but they're thinking about the sentiment, about what was going on in my head. And they managed to save me, right? Which is a huge amount of insurance. So that's the point there. The other big sort of technical trend is messaging APIs, where other companies can integrate and start to use. So marketing companies can start to use the information. Now, Scott mentioned quantity falling, but I believe that the quality and the information in SMS is going to increase. And that will lead to more monetization. How? And the key is enablement, and as you said, and platforms, right? So I think that's what's going to start happening is we're going to start seeing, which I think you're more involved in, GMS, was messaging as a service, right? And subscription models where you're paying for a certain type, you're getting every, analytics, etc. with that. So I think in summary, there's a load of innovation, but it has to be harnessed through a platform. And I think that is where the monetization is going to come from.
Okay, Carla, you also mentioned security and Richard. There's a constant evolution, of course. And what technical innovations do we see from your sides, especially from Hod, because you're the one who should protect us somehow, somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even if I don't just talk about from the security perspective, but what sort of technological things that I see are important for us all going forward.
And what's needed.
Yeah, and what's needed. So the guys have mentioned it all. I mean, AI, everyone knows AI is changing everything. The messaging value chain from the start to the finish, AI impacts everywhere, okay? We talk about chatbots, intelligent chatbots, they're going to use AI. We talk about services. AI is going to help us using analytics. So analytics platforms are important with AI. They'll help us to identify new services. They'll help us to deliver new services. Consider the wealth of services you could charge over messaging. You have to classify all that traffic and identify what sort of services they are and charge it differentially, right? So that has a big impact on it. And then I think we mentioned APIs. I actually see network APIs as a big part. Okay, so network APIs takes us towards authentication. And our messaging business has been enormously around authentication, OTP. Some of the customers and countries we operate in, 90% of the international HPSMS is OTP. That is it. Hyperscalers, they want direct connects. They no longer want to pay. It's their OTPs, right? So as authentication technology, mobile authentication technology evolves, that's going to massively impact the messaging industry. There's going to be a convergence there. And the last thing I'd say from a tech perspective, Eric, let's not forget the old phrase, if you can't bill it, kill it. So we talked about new services, okay? So even, integrating RCS, business messaging, and WhatsApp business messaging and other OTTs into your omni-channel platforms, whether you're a CPaaS or an aggregator or an operator, how do you bill it? That's not so easily done, right? And then we talk in the industry about differentiated pricing to broaden the service portfolio. How do you bill for all that? Whereas we're just used to charging, it's an international termination rate. It's 10 cents per message, right? So that's an area that needs to develop as well. And again, full circle, probably needs to lean on AI.
All right. Well, you were talking about SMA translated to the holy grail, especially on the AI data solution. But can we all together maybe go a bit more in deep, because what are the driving forces and the key drivers actually shaping that part actually of a messaging industry / developments? So Scott, maybe you could elaborate. I mean, you always have the helicopter view, with Mobile Squared. You always tell people, hey, this is going to happen. So maybe you can, and I know a new report is coming up, I think in the coming weeks, right, from Mobile Squared, and they can contact you to get that, of course. But being the company looking ahead, and not with a cap from a company or a corporate or an operator or a consultant on the thing, what can you share with us?
I think, like you said, we're constantly updating, and what we've seen, and one of the changes that we're doing actually internally is that we're doing more regular updates when it comes to the way we report. That there's a number of reasons behind that. One of them is that this industry evolves quicker than it ever has. And when it comes to new technology, when it comes to new kind of commercial stuff, when it comes to regulation, this stuff is changing really, really, really quickly. What we see overall is that there's for sure a shift that, like I mentioned earlier, when it comes to channels, there's a movement. And then when it comes to commercials behind those channels as well, we've seen WhatsApp recently announced changes in how they're structuring the business. I think what's interesting is that, RCS, there's also some ongoing questions around the commercials there. I think there seems to be no clarity around how many mobile operators are going to kind of monetize that.
Not yet. They all look at each other.
Exactly. But I think that's good, because it means that there's some thought about it. Someone hopefully is thinking about it. Because what we see is that there's going to be more and more kind of creative solutions when it comes to the commercials. As when we look at conversational use cases, they function completely differently. And I think Carla mentioned it. They function completely differently to the transactional kind of traditional SMS messaging. And that model around 10 cents per message, which, by the way, we see there's now, I think it's over 100 markets globally that are priced at average 10 cents or more, which is quite remarkable.
6.
Okay, almost. But yeah, so I think when it comes to commercial models, there'll be lots and lots of creative ways to do that. And that's exciting for enterprises to be able to leverage messaging.
I was going to chime in on top of the channels, because there's lots of, I would say, hard work and convincing we're doing with the operators when we're talking to them, to actually explain to them that, yes, absolutely, they must nail their channel game. But ultimately, from what we see, the biggest value comes from you being able to work on value-added services beyond just connectivity, right? And that takes an operator to completely change the way they treat their B2C and B2B customers. Because ultimately, I, as a B2B customer, I don't really care about the channel. I care about my end users. So what we're going through often is, in collaboration with data points, we're explaining to the operators that, hey guys, it's unbelievably important you understand who are the users of other businesses around you. Because operators are not using messaging per se just to reach out their own customers. They need to actually enable other businesses to do that. So it all boils down to kind of simple and complex thinking and a couple of methods at the same time. You figure out who are users of this specific bank. You understand what are the key user journeys they go through with the bank. You understand what touch point these users of this bank are having with the bank for these use cases. And then you figure out how to inject all kinds of messaging channels across. And operators should be willing to embrace much more beyond just SMS and voice. Email has still a significant share. OTTs, I don't look at them as a kind of competitors to messaging because they complement, and vice versa. SMS is able to complement OTTs where these are not really available. And eventually you end up with a game, and we'll be talking probably about commercial models a bit later, but you end up with a game where you're not selling any more connectivity products, but you're talking about real value, real return on investments, a business, an operator, and all people in the chain will get eventually. And then you immediately forget about the cost of one SMS, cost of an email, cost of an RCS message whatsoever, because it essentially doesn't matter anymore to the business who's paying for it, because the business derives much more value from the customer interaction it has crafted with the help of us, operators, and everyone in the chain.
Okay, so you're saying we should understand far better the demand, from the demand side, what's wanted. But then again, let me switch a little bit, and then I come to the commercial part, because you have to show me the money on this.
I will.
As well. The thing is, but as said before, is that are we changing then, or should we change some business models? And if so, how? And partnership is one. We heard this already a zillion times. But what should we do? Because if we need to understand the demand, okay, that people want something different. We, let's say, in the telco are, even if it changes fast, we are not the fastest changers, right? We are a bit slow, right? So do we need to change the business models? And if so, how? Or adopt new ones? Or what should we do? Should we learn from different industries?
So, so I think if we break it down from the different layers of the industry, so we start with the network layer, right? And I think that historically, carriers, forgive me for saying this, but still sort of are acting. The netco and servco split is increasing, in fact, rather than. So what's happening is that the netco is saying, I'm going to wholesale, and I don't really know what the consumer customers are, and I don't really know what the services they want.
I actually don't really care, because I'm busy with my network.
Yeah,
right.
That's exactly the point. Trying not to be so rude about it, but yeah, I think the point I'm making is that they could, to your point about commercialization, which is monetize, things like APIs and access to different quality of network, different latency, etc. So that's kind of, and then charge a premium price for those. So there is a demand for premium quality. I'm not talking about premium SMS here. I'm talking about just better transit. Although premium SMS is another thing, which I think is interesting. And I think that what I think, if the problem is in enterprise, quite often, unless you're massive and you've got a big IT department, then you know how to make these things work. But where do you go? Where do you start if I want to do an SMS campaign or have a chatbot that's intelligent? So you need to work with the intermediaries, the enablers, and the platform providers. And I think that is where the real they're going to be the real winners, is the people that get as you're doing.
I'll come with my questions to the champions, because I really want to know. But please, Richard.
Yeah, Eric, what I would say is that they may not be just busy managing the network. They may not care because they've just had a big check up front from somebody for all of their A2P messaging. But I think this is a really good conversation, and it's something that we at Hall have been talking about for a number of years: value-based pricing and differentiated pricing. Now, we work with mobile operators and other partners through the value chain, but frankly, there should be embarrassment within the industry, because you have WhatsApp and you have Google coming to the market, and they already have differentiated pricing straight away. We just have ITRs or domestic A2P message. That's it. two prices, right? They come straight in and you've got a different price for your OTP. There's a value to OTP. Conversational is different price. I mean, that's from a marketing perspective, from a customer care perspective. You see, they see the value because they are marketing companies. And that's the one thing that I've seen over 30 years. I'm really that old, being in the mobile industry. You know, from a marketing perspective, so many times I've thought, why, you know, we've really missed the boat. Okay, we have the again, right? Again. Okay, we've got the customers, right, at the P2P side, the receiving customers. We've got the customers who will pay us on the other side, and yet, from a marketing perspective, we just try to keep it simple, right? I like the expression KISS, but sometimes it's too simple, right? So I think there's a really good opportunity to introduce differentiated pricing, value-based pricing, as Viva said. And I go back to that. There's a challenge then. How do you bill it? Okay.
All right. How to bill it? Okay. Well, we can have a very long discussion on this one. But how to bill it is now I want to come to what Rob already mentioned is the profit dynamics. You know, so not only the revenues, because the revenues is one thing. I'm interested in margins. Show me the money. What should we do and how can we do it? Tell us.
I'll just wrap up what we have discussed over here. To me, partnership is the only way to go. And I'm going to give one specific example, which is real life and from a completely different industry. And it's going to be a UK-based company, which became a unicorn just a while ago. It's Gymshark. I'm sure you all heard of it. It was fairly surprising for me to discover that apparently Gymshark doesn't run and doesn't own their website, which is actually generating the majority of their sales. Gymshark's website is powered by Shopify platform. So what Gymshark has done, same applies to their marketing effort. Apparently, Gymshark is running on a few, we're not going to name it, but marketing platforms they are using to actually run all the messages, distribution, the rest. And same applies to the fulfillment centers. Same applies to the production. So Gymshark is doing as a business, they are literally focusing on their core effort, which is figuring out who their customers are, what they need, and designing close to them. Rest is not their problem. They just rely on partners to get things done because that's what they are best at, making gymwear, right? That's why Shopify powers their website. So same for us. The operators can try however much they want to venture into adjacent areas to get more revenues, open up new revenue streams, but it takes quite a few lucky coincidences to make it happen. And I can count on the fingers of my one hand successful examples when an operator was able to diversify significantly into other complete different dimensions, whether it's messaging, customer engagement, content on demand, mobile service, mobile financial services, you name it. Now, going back to your question, the models we've been experimenting with, just because we know that we will bring value to the enterprises for the products we're serving, venture significantly beyond just connectivity layer. What we're looking at and what we're successfully selling in some destinations where we operate is something we have borrowed and got inspired by OTTs, which is monthly active usage. And the way we operate, we let enterprises send as many messages as they need, but there's one price for the amount of engagements a single user will have with the business. So if you serve 1 million users, unique users obviously per month, that's one price. If you serve 20 million, it's a different price. Channels they use and communications they make do not really make that much of a difference because we're serving a value-based use case. Another dimension, like slightly different one, could be revolving around licenses fees, combined with the, of course, channel prices. That also works. But to me, the most exciting was I wanted to bring up the monthly one, because in this case, the margins, you can push them significantly higher versus just plain connectivity way.
All right. Carla?
Can I?
Yeah. Oh, yes.
I believe the key is to be close to our customer. And as a wholesaler aggregator, I'm not so close to the enterprise, but I can make it happen with the different companies helping me, with the digitalization, with the new revenue streams coming from charging for CR. That's the point. And also exploring new markets, because as you were mentioning previously, there's a lot of niche markets that we can explore, that we can gain some value, that we can gain more knowledge. It's hard because we need to adapt to different economic realities, and also political. Because if we go to Africa, we will be handling with different political environments. So it's really important to not even do the new partnerships and be able to be more close to our customer and engage more. Also do the globalization, try to reach more markets, try to understand how they work, how can we help them, okay? And for me, this is the real challenge. And of course, the regulation, of course, the increase of the SMS prices is also a challenge. It can be a good solution for operators in the short term, but it's becoming the SMS less competitive according to the other messaging solutions. So it's a lot of different challenge that we are facing, but it's good because I started selling connectivity in the not so. No, because I'm young. I'm 2 months ago. I was selling connectivity, and now I'm selling experiences, even if I'm on the wholesale business. So I'm confident that we will do it.
Okay.
And the new features, the new we can do the subscription models. It's a lot of ideas that we can do it, but customers need to get value. So we are not only now. We need to be in different places, create more value. We need to give them more that they need, the CR, the features, to make more money. If not, we will not make more money.
No, because we should stop thinking as wholesalers.
Of course,
That's what
that's
we
the
should
point.
start with. That's my point of view. Stop thinking about the end customers.
Yeah.
What do they want? What is their demand? Understand their demand and try to find the holy grail in multiple languages, not only the 4 big ones in the world. That's one thing. But Richard, what is your take on it? Well, how can we, how can we make the money? How can we monetize on it?
Well, I think it's what I said
What do we
earlier
need to
on.
do?
I think we need, I don't know if it's an injection of new blood or new views. I mean, it's about creativity and innovation. And it's like marketing 1, 2, 3, product marketing 1, 2, 3 in some senses. And like I said earlier, like sometimes I look at the mobile industry and I think, why, And the industry then has been characterized by a lot of outsourcing. So I think, it's good for people to concentrate on what your core business is. But what is the core business of a mobile operator, right? Is it to manage a network, or is it actually to make money? If I was a CEO of a mobile network, it would be make money. I would outsource everything else so I could concentrate on my strategy and everyone that I outsource to make money. And within that will be creativity. So I love what you're saying, that the way you're putting together the services, the service bundles, and there's creativity in pricing. And we've talked about differentiating the pricing, and there are challenges in that. And actually, when I slag off mobile operators for not introducing differentiated pricing, like their challenges have been also historical. They've implemented their HP business in a certain way, and that sort of hinders them being able to use differentiated pricing. So simply, for example, SID registration, which would solve all sorts of problems, including smishing and spam, etc., would also allow you to very, very simply price differently, right? But so many operators, I don't want to say a percentage, but I'd say a vast majority of operators have a messy process. They don't have a clear SID registration process, and that's just for SMS, right? But now we've got multiple channels. The lady earlier from Virgin was talking about RCS. I think
Bloody-
RCS business messaging, you know, they've done a good job, right? Because you have to register, right? So and it's very clear what should be happening over the different channels, right? You say what you're going to do. It's easy then for some sort of billing tech to come in behind that and take the output from Google and actually bill it. But as mobile operators stand today, I'd say some of them are actually unable to implement it with what they have in place. And one solution to that is all the way back to the start of the conversation is AI. Because you can use it, because the amount of processing power you can use, categorize your traffic, and then you can do differentiated pricing. Long answer. Sorry, Eric.
No. Good. All right. So what's driving the champions and who will be the champions? Noah.
Oof, that is tough.
Where to put my money?
I'm much more confident with things related to product and technology than figuring out who's the best people to talk to about these. I'll probably follow what Richard has said about CEO who has a vision to get some money coming in. That's probably the only champion across multiple operators that I've witnessed myself building and spinning off new ventures of the network maintenance and support. Visionaries who are leading operators. I can bring up a couple of people who successfully built it in Pakistan, in Philippines, in Ukraine, which is my home country, right, as well, because I still recall Peter Chernyshev, who used to be CEO then, he was like, we're charging way too little for the service we're providing. Next month, we're increasing our prices by 50%. And barely anyone charged because the quality was definitely better than everybody else. Like, we've invested so much in the infrastructure, and we're simply charging because of these zero tariff wars. We're charging unfairly low amount to our end customers. He increased the prices, everyone was happy, and everyone else followed. And to me, it takes and in this case, what I would probably refer to, champions should come from a completely different industry. They should not be telco veterans. They should come from e-commerce, banking, fintech services, blockchain, crypto, SaaS, you name it, to kind of inject some fresh air into what we are here doing overall. That's my take.
That's what I meant. Let's stop thinking about wholesalers and good old incumbent things. I have my network and this will be fantastic and I'm gonna protect this and whatever.
Peter I referred to, he used to be the CFO of a beer brewing company before he joined telco. He has zero clue what telco business is, and he has grown the share of the company. He's kind of, I mean, you can read about it.
But he understands his customers. He understands his the demand, and that's what we need. We need to think. Look at our children. I mean, I'm old enough to have 3 daughters actually, and they're already. But if I look how they are working with their mobile, with their cell phone, and what they want is completely different than me as an old network orange guy. It is completely different. So Scott. Who will be the winners? Maybe we can also do a closing round here and scoping a bit the future. What's there to expect, and who are the champions, man? Is it you?
Yeah, and look, what we see within, I hope so. What we see within our research is that there's kind of shifting industries as well. We break down this entire market to industry and use case,
which should be a good thing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And we see that until now, it's been a very limited number of companies that are really effectively leveraging messaging. When you look at the amount of businesses in the world that could leverage messaging. Now, this comes down to, in my opinion, enablement and how effective have companies been at enablement. I think until now, there's been a group of very big companies that use messaging for authentication and probably a couple of other use cases. And everyone's been kind of happy just to take their money to some extent. What I love now is when you look around and you look at the kind of new businesses popping up around enablement. And like I talk a lot about moving away from connectivity and into kind of business enablement and seeing ourselves as a bit of a different industry where we're helping companies to use messaging as a tool to grow their businesses. So then it's less of kind of these companies who roll their eyes and have to pay for messaging, and it's really annoying for them. So yeah, I think the winners out of all of this will be those who enable businesses most effectively.
Right, Aaron? What's your view on it? I mean, you also always have your helicopter view about the market.
Yeah, so I'll try to add rather than repeat. So just to fill in some of the gaps. So I think definitely Scott's point about enablement. I think I've also echoed that point, but very much so. But just to kind of drill down what we mean by that. So I think the winners will be people that understand their verticals really well. And so if we look at I mentioned satellite before, which is coming through. The premium on satellite calling is 50 times more than cellular, right? But we're involved in this area where some companies have basically are making so much profit from vertical specific use cases in there, and there's a lot of them coming through. But then if we look at financial services, health sector, and just consumers, just keep it simple. And then we think about other very adjacent industries and why they've succeeded. So cloud-based unicorns, so Netflix, Sky, Dropbox, Shutterstock, these sorts of things. What I love about them is that you get in at a sort of freemium model, right? So you get in sort of to start loving the company. And then they start saying, well, if you want to watch a great movie that's come out, you can got to pay $10 for that. Or if you want to buy a bunch of images in a package, you can do that. If you want to buy video, you can do that. And so you start off the journey at a very low level, and then they start to sort of give you on demand when you feel like watching a good movie or you feel like having a campaign. You can, MailChimp is an example.
We pay for it.
Yeah, and we pay. So the point I'm making is if you understand those packages for different verticals, so Netflix now, the reason why they were so successful is they couldn't bill anything other than one tariff, and they couldn't figure out when people were sharing the accounts, so they lost tons of revenue. Then they got a platform in place and said, okay. And an example of a company that has used enablement amazingly is Octopus, Kraken. I don't know if you've heard of that. And they're just phenomenal what they're achieving with that platform. So the winners, to answer your question specifically, coming to the point, is that it's people that understand where people place value in which sector, and then adjusting your packages to suit that. And the only way you can do that is with enablement. Right.
All right, Carla?
In my opinion, the winners will be the ones that, as everyone already said here, the ones that can adjust their strategies to a different world, because we are not, we are.
Try to change a strategy within an operator. Try.
Yes, but it's change the mentality. You know that the people that they are working in operators, they move. So new people are coming.
Get people from Heineken or some other beer.
Yeah, people. You need to get them to this business as an attractive, sexy business, and then you will change the mentality, and then we will go and change the strategy and learn from other industries and pay, because we are afraid to bill more, to invoice more. We are always saying, I'm the best, but my price is more competitive, and change the speech.
And by the end of the day, you kill yourself, all of you, right? That's what
of course,
you're doing.
that's the
your
point.
model. Yeah, no.
And we kill our business. So let's create value. Let's turn the mentality and change, and also not be afraid to learn from others. So if I'm not with the knowledge to do these data analytics, to go directly to our final customer and check the studies about the campaigns, and let's buy from others. Let's do the partnerships, and all together we can change. If we can do this step, we will win for
We
sure.
have to.
We have.
It's inevitable. Change it. Go for partnerships. You know, go to music industry congresses. Look at complete different people. See what they are doing. They understand customer engagement. We lack it a little bit. Just be very prudent.
Yeah,
Richard?
I would just pick up on all of that. Carla, sex sells. You're absolutely right. Sexy is good. But actually, seriously, sexy, we talk about sexy. Let's talk about brand, right?
Funky. I call it funky.
Funky, right? So let's talk about brand, right? So for me, and from a mobile operator perspective, the winners will be those who realize they have a brand, okay? And they leverage that brand creatively, right, to generate revenue. Forget about the network, right? It's actually a brand because we're in such a mature market. Pick any mobile operator, it's a brand in their country. How do they differentiate and view how they can make money? Messaging infrastructure is sunk cost. There is no cost. There's limited OpEx to running a messaging platform in the network. That's the reality. And the OTT stuff, the operators can leverage it. They don't even need to spend any money, right? But where I do see a really big win, I mentioned earlier, the convergence of authentication and messaging. I see some operators having really big wins here because to roll out mobile authentication and digital identity, which is a massive topic all over the world now, right? Who would be best positioned to do that in any country, if not a mobile operator? On the one hand, they have all the users who they need secure digital identity. On the other side, they have all the enterprises who want secure transactions with their subscribers and vice versa. The operator can actually sit in the middle and very quickly roll that out. If a government tried to do it, it will be 10 years, a failed IT project, right?
Not even.
Yeah, so I see a win there as well, right? So those are the two wins that I see.
All right. To close off, and thank you for your ideas and for your thoughts and sharing it with the audience. But Vova, just for you as a last statement, what would you want to give us? I mean, the audience. What would be your full statement? Your last statement. Here.
Oh wow!
Your takeaway. Giveaway.
Yeah, sure. Make some money and have fun along the way.
The future's bright, and this isn't an orange reference. The future's bright for the industry. You know, we're seeing massive growth in messaging over the next 10 years. So it's a really exciting time to be here.
Yeah, I think as we said, learn from the masters in brands that know how to engage with the Spotify's of this world and Netflix's, and then the other thing is to make that happen is to collaborate with companies adjacent to you in the value chain.
Learn from the best ones and enjoy the process. Enjoy the process. Be with our customers. Try to engage more, and it's good. It will be a success for sure.
All right, Rich.
I'd mirror what Scott said. I think there's great opportunity in industry. The future is bright. And with the right level of creativity, leveraging the innovation, but really smart, clever, innovative thinking, this industry and the mobile industry has a really great future.
Thank you so much. And I would like to thank you as well, the audience. I mean, it's a full house. People were standing outside, you know, fighting with each other to have the bingo ticket to get in, you know. I understand this all. No, but thank you so much for being with us here. And I would like to thank as well my fellow moderator and colleague, Aaron, of course, for moderating also a session. I mean, 2 days full of sessions talking about the wide variety of the business. Of course, we could not always cover everything which is on your mind, but I hope at least we could give you, to me, Aaron, and together with let's say all the senior experts sitting on the panels over the last 2 days, to give you some impression. Maybe you can have one takeaway from it. Then I'm already blessed and already happy. So thank you for being with us and staying with us. And I would like to thank Wowa. Of course, Mr. Mobile Squared. Aaron, as always, thank you. Carla, always a pleasure. And Rich, thank you so much. And now it's time for lunch. Thank you.